What's cracking, everybody? XehrFelrose here, bringing you some Pokemon Go Battle League content. Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at a team that I put together here for the Great League that I actually went on a very nice 9-1 run with here. That's going to be featuring Psycho Cut Medicham with Dynamic Punch recently being buffed. It is now a straight 5 count to Dynamic Punch, and it is a Scythe Strike clone, which means that is an incredibly efficient move. We're going to be backing up Medicham with two very strong anti-ghost options. The first of all being a Shadow Drapion. I don't use my Drapion that much, so I thought it would be a good opportunity to bust it out. Plus, it's been kicking my butt all the way back and forth all over the Go Battle League for like the last week, so I figured I might as well try and use it myself and see if I couldn't have some success with it. And the third Pokemon we're going to have here on Safe Swap, I actually decided I'm going to bust out my Furret, and while Furret has normal type Swift and not dark type, I actually had a lot of fun running Furret. I know that we already recently had a video that featured Furret recently, but I wanted to use it because it felt like a very strong option, because when you play Medicham, you need to back it up with anti-ghosts. So we're going to get into the games here and check out how this team functions in the Great League. And spoiler alert, it's really good. Kaboom! Wrong play button. I hit the boom. I hit the boom instead of the music. But we get the really nice leads here in the first game as a Dragapult appears in the lead against my Medicham, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm somewhere between why me and how come this always happens? Every time I boot up Go Battle League, I end up getting hit with some hard counter BS. And anyway, we're going to get counter swapped here on our Furret safe switch by an Azumarill. And I actually have not played this matchup before, but from the video that we did previously, I have a strong inkling that with Furret here, with the pacing advantage that it has, we can actually make an attempt to win switch here. I'm going to go ahead and shield twice as if I can. I have the option to. I would love to put my Drapion on that Dragapult. So I'm going to be going to look at make a play for switch here. And if the opponent lets this go, they try to call a Swift, they are going to be sorely mistaken, as now I can go for the Trailblaze. And if I had shielded this, I could have gone for 3 more Sucker Punches and CMP'd on their next move. So I would have been able to flip switch. So if you get one bait there, you can flip switch. And we get a huge Swift laid out on this Skuntank, and Skuntank's gonna have to shield this because otherwise Furret's basically gonna solo this whole team. Furret is gonna get the final shield here, and in comes Drapion as they come in with their Dragapult, and they're gonna concede knowing it's over. Well played, good game. Medicham's here. It's not doing anything, but now in this next game, we're going to have Jump Bluff, and this is where having Psycho Cut is nice, because over counter, you're able to at least do some decent pacing, and I'm going to go for an Ice Beam chip here. Opponent goes for the extra Fairy Wind. Even if they had stayed in to throw an Aerial Ace, I would have actually been quite fine tanking that, and now with the damage, I'm going to go ahead and drop into Furret, and the opponent has Shadow Credilli in the back, so no respect for any actual Ice types, but then again, there's really not a whole lot of pure Ice types. They're all like Ice typing, but not really anything of the Ice type variety, like, you know, Psywaves on Lapras and, you know, stuff like that. So Dugong is the only thing that I would really see come to mind here, but I'm going to be going for the Trailblaze because that's going to boost the Sucker Punches back up for me, and if I can, I don't know that I need switch here, but the opponent's going to let me have it. They're not willing to expend a shield, and that means they're going to be forced to throw the energy on the Jump Bluff. It's a non-shadow, so I have an inkling to think that it might be the Energy Ball Acrobatics variant, and because they threw Energy Ball, I'm going to expect that it is. Opponent coming in with some spice, though, coming in with a XL Kabuto. Man, I'm jealous. That's a really fun spice pick. Dynamic Punch, though, is going to absolutely clock this thing, and that's going to be a good game. Well played. Also, next trainer here, Eliwood of Faray. If you're Fire Emblem fans, I respect that so much. I love Fire Emblem. I'm such a nerd for Fire Emblem games, especially that one, if you know which one it's from. We're going to see a cast form in the lead the next game, and we are guaranteed to get a shield or basically a knockout here, as even though this thing does have Hex, it's going to take a lot of damage from this Dynamic Punch. The opponent lets it through, and I'm going to bring in Furret because the opponent basically has, I think they have Energy Ball, Rock-type Weather Ball, and Normal-type Weather Ball, something like that. But them running the Rock-type Weather Ball is really good for us here because then Medicham doesn't have to worry about it. The opponent has the energy basically for 2 Weather Balls at this point. And I got one of them off, and they have almost no HP. So we're looking good. Blossom's going to be going for a move. I know that it has Dazzling Gleam, but a Leaf Blade's more likely here, and it's not going to be enough to get a knockout. So we're going to be able to land another Swift and almost take out the Blossom here. Honestly, this feels more like a Furret feature than a Medicham feature, but we're going to get to the good stuff in a moment. I'm going to actually bring in my Medicham because I know I can farm down, and the opponent quickly swaps in to try and get a move off, and I'm like, okay, maybe they're trying to get a shield, maybe trying to fake me out, but I knew that was just enough for a second Weather Ball, and then they're going to come in with a Claydol. and now things are a little bit weird because I have Drapion in the back. So my plan here is to try to get shields down and get Drapion to the point where we can get a crunch off without worry. Now, the more energy that my opponent farms up here, though, the harder that's going to be because I'm getting lower and lower with these mud slaps, but they throw energy, and I'm hoping they throw the Rock Tomb here, but I'm like, I'm going to shield just in case it's not because I wasn't ready to get my Drapion in, but now that they threw that energy, I can come in, and it looks weird, but there was actually a visual glitch. Opponent tried to catch a move there, but I don't know why the game didn't update properly. It's just... Look, Niantic makes things look weird on a normal basis. Now, this is likely going to be the Rock Tomb. Hopefully, the attack drop won't hinder our ability to land a crunch for the knockout. I'm not going to wait here if I don't have to, but at the last moment, I see I can go for my 4 Poison Stings. And even though they don't matter as much, they might have mattered enough for me to make sure I get that KO. So we're going to take that game. Well played. Right, because I was thinking about going for the crunch right away, but I'm thinking if I can land these Poison Stings, I'm going to go for 3 Poison Stings for maximum amount of extra damage and then swap out or throw, but no, not swap out. I couldn't swap out. Go for 3 and then throw, but since I could go for 4, I went for the 4th. Anyway, Ice Punch is going to do some super effective chip damage onto the Superior, and the opponent's going to throw a charge move. Doesn't matter what they throw, I can live any one move here. I'm actually going to go for a second Ice Punch, see if I can't generate a shield advantage, and then swap into Furret. I don't really have much comfort in bringing my Furret in here if I'm, you know, just coming straight in, because they can just go for a Frenzy Plant and do a ton of damage here. So I'm going to go ahead and shield this up because the Frenzy Plant is likely. And opponent's coming in with a Blastoise. I have Trailblaze, which is incredibly good coverage now because it allows for it to be very dynamic. It allows the Sucker Punches to really start pushing through matchups because it has a lot of good damage. Swift is just nice for that neutral chip damage. And then Trailblaze also makes for it an anti-ground type to a degree and an anti-water type. So we have a lot of good play with Furret, and it's another one of those answers to Feraligatr, which this meta oh so desperately needed. I'm going to let this go. I'm going to think that maybe my Medicham and Drapion combination here can win this game for me with a shield advantage because basically the Superior is completely out at this point. Opponent, I don't know if they were just trying to catch a move or what was going on there, but I think they may have miscounted our energy. But they're going to now bring in a Spiritomb, and I am so glad at this point that they decided to do this because I can just bring my Drapion in here and have a shield advantage. I should easily be able to get to this crunch. The opponent just swapped, so I'm not worried about a catch. And we're going to be able to fire off this crunch. I know that I just ran Spiritomb yesterday as I'm recording this, and it does not take hits very well. So that does a ton of damage from the Shadow Drapion. Rock Tomb also going to do quite a bit of damage back, but I'm just going to fully farm this thing down, and I can fire off a move at the Blastoise, hoping that after the Rock Tomb debuff that this is going to be enough, and if it is, we're looking good. The opponent is going to live by narrowest of margins, but we have a shield, so we can go for a single Psycho Cut and farm down. Good game to the opponent. Next game up, we're going to have Medicham on the lead versus a Steelix. This is a really nice matchup, but because we have Psycho Cut, not counter, it's not as great. Now, the opponent swaps in an Azumarill, and I'm thinking, what do I do? I should have just come straight in with Drapion because we do win that matchup, but I'm forced to give up shields to do so, so I'm thinking maybe I should leave it for later because Furret, out of all the things on my team, Furret is like that one thing that I want to kind of keep away from Steelix. Like, all of these things have play into Steelix. Like Drapion has super effective Aqua Tails, Medicham has super effective Dynamic Punches, so I'm valuing that damage into the Steelix over the potential chance of us being able to use Furret against Steelix. So that's why I bring in the Furret here, to be able to try and kind of keep my good matchups into the Steelix in play here. We're going to be going for good timing as much as we can, knowing the opponent just threw. We can go for 7 Sucker Punches and then go for the Swift. And the opponent wants to shield this, or they're going to have to let this go. They do decide to shield, and I should have gone for back-to-back here. I was thinking the opponent might be going for one more bubble and then the move, but I'm going to be able to fully farm down and have a ton of energy, but I'm very, very low. I'm going to go for the Trailblaze regardless of what comes in, because if it's the Steelix, I would like it to be neutral, but the opponent actually comes in with a Primeape. And now I'm looking pretty okay here as long as they don't catch the Dynamic Punch, which, I mean, if they do, I'll just build up to another one. But I have to be careful about not taking 2 Rage Fists here because these actually will knock out after that second one. Primeape is so spammy and can put so much work in this matchup. You'd be surprised, actually. But the opponent is going to well, they have to let it go. They don't have shields. But the opponent's going to take a Dynamic Punch, but they live on 1 HP. Oh, like 3 HP, I guess. But Drapions going to come in and get the Poison Sting down, and we can go for Aqua Tails here. The opponent firing off their move now means that they are only going to have a Breaking Swipe at best here. They're not going to throw the Resisted Crunch, and they might throw Psychic Fangs, who knows, but we're going to be able to fire off some Aqua Tails here to be able to take this thing nearly out. We're not going to be able to, unfortunately, make it to a third Aqua Tail. So what I'm looking to do here is just hoping that my Medicham is going to be able to come in and get to this Ice Punch before the opponent gets to a move, and it can. As if they had been able to farm me down, I don't know if the Psychic Fangs would have been enough. Probably not, but a Breaking Swipe might have been close. But either way, good game, well played to the opponent. I think in hindsight, Azumarill, I probably bring in the Drapion. Getting a 5-0 to start, getting into the next set here. We're going to have Medicham on the lead versus Pangoro. You would think this is a good lead, but it's actually quite bad for Psycho Cut Medicham because we have to land the Dynamic Punch. Now, I'm facing this opponent, and I'm always thinking they're probably going to try to catch the move. So I'm going to go ahead and overfarm and try to make sure that if I do get a move caught, at least I have some residual energy left over. Opponent's going to go ahead and shield that, and then I'm overfarming again, and I really should just throw the move right when I get it. You know, you would think that would be so predictable, but it would have worked out in my favor. Opponent's going to drop their Drapion in here, and I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch. The opponent likely going to not shield this, so it's going to do quite a bit of damage, and I can easily bring in my Drapion here and win switch back. Now, I could have overfarmed here, but I wasn't fully confident how close the opponent was to a second Aqua Tail, and so I didn't want to risk the chance of them getting a second one off because I want to force the Pangoro to go for close combat if it wants to take me out here. Because if they go for Night Slash, they're just simply not going to be able to get to 2 in time or get the farm down, be able to stop me from getting the Aqua Tails here. So they're forced to go for the close combat, but that's unfortunately for me not going to stop them. I'm going to go for an Ice Punch here with the defense drop, but the opponent reads it and drops in Lapras, and I'm thinking, had I gone for Dynamic Punch, I am in such a good spot here, but unfortunately, I am a complete and utter bozo. And I decide now I'm going to go for the Dynamic Punch. The opponent more than likely shields this one, and now I can come in with Furret. We do have the Trailblaze, but unfortunately, our Dark typing only lies in the fast move and not Furret itself, so we are not resisting the Psy Waves. Sparkling Aria or Skull Bash. The Skull Bash does quite a bit of damage, and unfortunately, Trailblaze is not going to cut it now because of the defense increase. Sucker Punches are nice extra damage. The opponent's going to drop in their Pangoro, and I'm just hoping that I can get to the Swift, but they throw the move, and I'm thinking, all right, if I can just get to 2 Dynamic Punches with my Medicham, I'm going to be fine here, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to farm up to 2 moves, and I don't know exactly how much energy this thing has, so I'm going to go for a couple more fast moves, trying to get to the Dynamic Punch, but the opponent was only 1 away from the Night Slash, so completely outplayed in this game. I had a way to victory here in several different places, but I was getting too antsy and expecting the opponent to do a certain thing, and then they completely outplayed me. Next game, terrible lead. Talonflame in the lead. We're going to go up to the Furret here and look to try and see if we can make something happen. I'm going to throw on 6 Sucker Punches because I do want to get some chip damage in just in case Medicham is stuck against this thing later. At least once I do that, I know that the Medicham's Ice Punches could do enough to knock out from this range. So now the opponent's going to go for the fly. I'm committing to Swifts here on good timing. I want to go for 2 Sucker Punches and then my charge move. And then afterwards, I'm going to be looking to continue just seeing how much damage I can put in. I'm expecting the opponent to swap here, but they actually commit to this matchup completely and are looking to get both my shields and then stay in. We're going to be able to fully farm down after this, though. Have a shield disadvantage, but the opponent comes in with Dugong, and I'm going to go for the Trailblaze here to potentially do super effective damage if they decide not to shield. However, it is a Dugong. They love to shield the first move. This one does not, however, and I'm going to be able to go for another Trailblaze here and get the shield this time, hopefully. And then we have Medicham locked on this Dugong, which is going to be fine with me. So now in this game, we're going to be coming back in with this Medicham. We can easily take this energy. Opponent comes in with their Azumarill, and Drapion's going to have to hit the field here, and I do super effective damage with these Poison Stings. Crunches are going to add up. One of those times I just wish I had the Sludge Bomb, but my whole hope here is that I can get this Azumarill low enough where one of my moves from Medicham can knock out. The opponent goes for the Ice Beam here. Play Rough is the move to go for, but because they just went for that Ice Beam, I can massively over farm here and look to go for my Crunch on good timing right before they get to the last move. And then the opponent over farms by 1. Maybe they weren't sure if I was at a move, but they are unfortunately wrong. We're going to get the Aqua Tail in, and then we get rid of the Azumarill. We're going to be able to go for this Medicham's Dynamic Punch regardless of the debuffs and take the game. Well played. Next game up, Medicham into Victory Bell. What is this doing here in this day and age? But because we have the pacing on Ice Punch, I can get an early shield off the opponent or do quite a lot of super effective damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for this Ice Punch and then swap into my Furret. And then, or no, swap into my Drapion this time rather. And we draw out a Dugong, which is not ideal. But something to always keep in mind, when you see Shadow Victory Bell, there's almost always a Bastion lurking somewhere in the back. I have gotten a shield. I'm going to go ahead and call this as an Icy Wind because they shielded. If the opponent hadn't shielded that, I would have probably shielded back thinking that it would be a drill run, but the tell there was that the opponent shields that charge move because they want to use the debuff to get the, you know, the rest of the damage to be less afterwards. So it's a good play by them, but unfortunately that was a bit of an obvious telegraph. So you could certainly make something out of that if you want to with, you know, shielding and then throwing the drill run and maybe you just, you know, get somebody with the mind games like that. But opponent's going to come in with their Victory Bell, and I have to come in now with my Furret, and I'm going to shield this up. If it's a Leaf Blade, it's going to be painful. It's probably an Acid Spray. Of course it's an Acid Spray, because that's what Victory Bells like to do. They like to just Acid Spray things for no reason. So, unfortunately, whatever's in the back, I'm going to have my defense drop down, but I've got a shield. Hopefully, the Medicham can do well, and they have the Basti. Unfortunately for me, though, I am locked in this matchup for a little bit longer than I would like, and I'm going to be forced to take a lot of damage. The opponent's going to get energy, and I'm getting very close to being in a range where Medicham's going to be able to get farmed down, or not farmed down, hit with a flamethrower here. So I'm going to go ahead and shield, and I need to be very careful with my energy. I do not want to get my move caught, and so I'm going to be throwing on good timing, very carefully watching the Bastion, and as soon as I see the animation for their next Smackdown start, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Dynamic Punch, lock it in, knock out the Basti, and then throw an Ice Punch at the Dugong because I wasn't sure how much energy they had, but this Ice Punch will be enough from this range to knock out. And we'll take any opportunity we can to dick on a Bastion. Good game. Next game up, we're going to have Medicham on the lead versus Wigglytuff. The terrible leads are back here, and we're going to go straight into Furret because I really don't have another option. I could go into my Drapion, but I don't want to risk the chance of potentially having a Mud Slapper, which is extremely likely to be in the back here, come in. But the thing is that Claydol does not have winning matchups against Furret, especially not when they come in behind energy. I can Trailblaze. The opponent's going to end up taking my shield. However, I'm going to be taking their Claydol and Switch Advantage, which now means that I can actually keep my Medicham away from the Wigglytuff, which I don't know what's in the back, but almost anything has to be better than being paired up against a freaking Wigglytuff with your Medicham. I got to be honest. So we're going to go for the Trailblaze, and then I'm going to go for a Swift here on 3 just to make sure I can get there before the opponent gets a farm down. And we're going to be able to hit him with a boosted Swift, hoping this gets a shield. If it doesn't, then that's going to eliminate most of my Wigglytuff problem. And the opponent has a Mew in the back, but it's not over yet because I don't know what that last move is going to be. So I am now putting all of this game on the back of my Drapion, and I'm going to be looking to make a catch here, just one before the crunch, and I'm going to be able to catch on my Medicham. Medicham here, unfortunately, though, does not do well into Mew, especially not with its buffed Psyshock. All I can really do is go for Ice Punches, and the opponent can just go for whatever charge move they so please. I need to be very careful with my energy here and try to see if I can get Drapion to 2 moves here to take out the Mew, because they're not going to shield this Ice Punch. They know they don't have to. So here's where we're going to be able to get another Ice Punch, hopefully. But no, we're going to get farmed down. Now the opponent's throwing a move, and I'm like, there's no way they're throwing Psyshock right now. This is going to be whatever their other move is. And it's the Wild Charge, and the opponent looks for a combo play with the Wigglytuff, but this also provides me with exactly what I need to get to 2 moves. If I can leave this with 2 Aqua Tails, we win the game, which we do. They're not going to be at another charge move here because they just threw that Wild Charge, and thankfully we're going to be able to use Drapion to core break this team and take a victory here. And that would have been really, really difficult, not gonna lie, because like I was not happy to see that Mew when I saw my Medicham in the back, man. That's good. Good game. Or my Medicham was not happy to see it from the back. Y'all know what I meant, dude. All right. So, Drapion in the next game, I'm going to throw a Dynamic Punch and then let them throw a move at me. I'm not going to shield it. I'm going to immediately swap into Furret, regardless of whether they shield it or not, because if I can take shield advantage here, that works for me. And I would rather put Furret in here with a 0-turn swap, potentially, while being able to get to the Swift at the same time as they get to a crunch, because Swift is actually straight 5 with Sucker Punch, which is incredibly nice. Pacing for it, having a 10-turn move, it didn't really have that before. I think Brick Break was its cheapest move before this, and I think that's 40 energy. if I'm not mistaken. So we're going to be able to launch off a Swift here, and the opponent is actually staying in. I don't know if they're core broken by the Furret, but I'm actually going to over farm here, thinking I might possibly be able to farm down if they go for the Crunch, but they're going for the Aqua Tail, because of course they are. I have enough HP to go down to an Aqua Tail. So I'm going to throw the Swift here just one before they get to their other Aqua Tail. Try to get rid of this Drapion and see if we can, but the opponent puts both shields into the Drapion, and you know what? They're looking like they're in Psycho Cut farm down range, so I'm going to go ahead and take this opportunity to do just that. Opponent is not going to swap out here. They're looking to keep Drapion. I'm thinking maybe they need switch advantage here, and they do. It's Golisopod in the back. Disaster strikes, and they're going to stay in and go for an X-Scissor most likely, or an Aqua Jet. Now, if they have Aqua Jet, they should go for it. It does slightly more damage than X-Scissor, but in comes Cordilli. This is going to be a tough one. I got to manage this Drapion's energy perfectly and everything else along with it. We're going to be going for the Crunch here and unable to get to another Crunch before the opponent can go for that Rock Tomb, and I'm forced to shield here to maintain my Drapion because that is my win condition, is being able to use my Drapion to take this game. We're going to be going for 4, and then we can go for another Crunch if we need to, but I have to be able to get to a move against the Drapion, and I also want to be able to clear this debuff. So I'm going to go for 1, swap out, catch the move on the Medicham, and the opponent's Rock Tomb is going to be resisted here, so I don't know how much farm down they're going to get from this, but they're going to come back in 1, 2, 3, 4. Only 4 Shadow Claws, and that information is perfect for me. I can go for the Dynamic Punch, get it down low, and if this Crunch is enough to get a knockout, we can win the game. Drapion, please, do it for me, buddy. Gets it in there. We're able to take that game. Well played to the opponent. Incredibly close. That catch was everything, but man, Medicham is incredibly good now. It was good before, obviously before all the nerfs and things, but I feel like having the Psycho Cut, Dynamic Punch pacing, it just makes it incredibly potent in the open meta, and so I think this thing is going to shine, especially in some limited cups where it might not be so resisted by, you know, all the fairies and the flyers and, you know, things, the ghosts especially. So let me know in the comments what you think about this team. I'd love to know, and also what your favorite Unova Pokemon, is it Unova? I don't even know. I'm recording all these out of order, so let me know in the comments whatever your favorite Pokemon is from the region. I put in the comments because I'm just doing question of the days now and it's fun. So let me know. Thank you very much for watching. As always, guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.